One of the Cats needs to mix it up on the court. One of the Cards needs to step it up in the classroom. And with the game on the line, Cal went to Jared's. That's coming up right now on the Red and Blue Review, presented by the Winton Law Group and the Kia Store.
The Red and Blue Review is presented by the Winton Law Group and by the Kia Store, the Floor Store, the Bachman Auto Group, Home Run Burgers and Fries, and Sam Swope.
We were hoping just to get out with our lives, so we're very thankful for where we are.
And we're very thankful for where you are. Joining us here on the Red and Blue Review, hi, I'm Gary Gupton, with the guys that know the Cats and the Cards better than anyone. And for a real quick take on what's going on in Planet Red, we're going to introduce the guy who covers Planet Blue. That's Daryl Bird with the Cats Balls. DB, what do you think about these Louisville proceedings for the last few days?
Providence? Really? You lose to Providence? Wow, with the likes of UConn and Pittsburgh and Notre Dame coming up, don't worry about the loss to Providence. There's plenty more where that came from.
And to defend all that is on Planet Red, Howie Lindsay, the Louisville Sports Report, but he is always prone to take a couple of shots of love toward Lexington. Howie?
Isn't it cute that Lexington wants their own arena just like Louisville's? I'm telling you, fellas, you're not going to build an arena nearly as nice as Louisville's. And you'll be, what, 4 years late, 5 years late, and probably $100 million short because you're in a tiny city, not the economic engine of Kentucky like Louisville.
Well, these guys are just getting warmed up, so let's really get them rolling with the lightning round. Who's hot at the University of Kentucky is Darius Miller. Here's a young man who has started to display in the last few games for Kentucky the kind of talent that Cal's been trying to pry out of him for the last 2 seasons.
Should be all league. That's what I think. But it doesn't matter what I think or you think. It's what he thinks. And I think he should be as good as anyone in our league. There's some guys that'll give him problems, but he'll give people problems. You saw him in the post. He can shoot a 3. He can make free throws. He's good with the ball. Just got to be tougher, man. Mix it up.
What we are seeing is the ultimate evolution, the coming out party that has been in the making since Darius Miller walked on campus. If you remember, we can go all the way back to Billy Gillespie's year when Darius Miller was a freshman. He came out early saying Darius is one of the best players in the country, or should be one of the best players in the country. And then John Calipari has followed that up. And what we know from the history is that Billy Gillespie really tore down Darius Miller confidence-wise, and it's taken this long for him to come back. And now we see him to the point where the last 3, 4, 5 games, he has been super. He was outstanding at South Carolina, and a huge reason why they won that game. Got their first road win.
Who's hot at the University of Louisville is the Manhattan transfer. And I haven't said that since I was wearing my mom's homemade leisure suits. Yeah, I really did. But we're talking about the other Manhattan transfer, Chris Smith, for a player that Rick Pitino had never heard of before a serendipitous meeting during a pickup game. The Manhattan transfer, Chris Smith, has been a big-time pickup for the Cards. Pitino says Smith's success this season can be traced back to his work this summer.
He's improved his shot dramatically. When a year ago, his shot was not pretty. He's worked very hard at becoming a very good shooter. He's improved with putting the ball on the floor. He's having a very good year because of the amount. Now, he's a young man that he got every minute of the summer. I mean, he got a lot out of the summertime. And he's worked very, very hard at his trade. So he deserves a lot of credit by putting in that amount of work.
You know, he did put in a ton of work, and so did his brother, actually. J.R. Smith came back to Louisville to train all summer, and I think that makes Louisville a better team. It certainly made Chris Smith much better to have his brother in there working out with the guys and showing them, you know, if even no other thing than, you know, you can't defend me this way because I'm going to hit a 3 on you. You can't defend me this way because I'm going to drive past you. Playing against that caliber of competition makes everybody better. It certainly made Chris Smith better, and he's probably been the surprise player for Louisville this season.
Who's not hot at the University of Kentucky, the darling of the UK win over Louisville? That would be Josh Harrelson. What's happened to Jorts, DB?
Yeah, we got to kind of watch this one because remember, you're talking about a guy who did nothing in the time he's been here, and to suddenly emerge and to go through the conditioning he talked about, and to just absolutely destroy Louisville at the Yum Center. He's kind of tailing off a little bit. He only had 5 rebounds in the win at South Carolina, and they absolutely have to have much, much better from him this weekend when Georgia comes into town. They've got to have him to step up. Now, the question is, he hasn't had a lot of playing time, a lot of experience. Has he hit the wall? Is this as good as he's going to get? And it's going to tail off a little bit from this point going forward? Or can he find a way to kind of dig deeper and reach back and get back up to playing like he did at Louisville, which is what they're going to have as weak as they are on the interior?
What's true at the University of Louisville is what Rick says it is this week, because who's not hot is Preston Knowles. Now, if you remember, on this very broadcast this time last week, Pitino was lauding Preston Knowles as Louisville's next great leader. Yet the coach admitted this week that the team captain has been in the coach's doghouse because Knowles isn't putting his best effort into his academic pursuits.
It's more a compliment. I never get upset at Preston on the basketball court. The only time I get upset at him, when you all said he was in the doghouse, it was in the doghouse only for academic reasons, nothing to do with basketball.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think on the court he's leading exactly like you'd hope. I mean, he's been a lot more positive this year than he was in years past. I think he's very motivating to his team. He really gets focused in terms of very next game and how to work on that scout and that kind of thing. He's pointing out directions for guys off the court, especially now that he's taking 18 credit hours. I mean, that is a lot of work for a guy in his senior year. None of this, ballroom dancing like the USC senior. That's what I would recommend. Take ballroom dancing, come back to take classes later. But 18 credit hours, that's a lot of work.
The buzz at the University of Kentucky is the fact that Jared Polson is no longer UK's victory cigar. They're getting a lot of playing time out of Polson, which with the South Carolina game on the line the other day, Daryl, Cal went to Jared's.
Yeah, and how shocked were we? Because he came out during his pregame press conference and said, I think I'm going to have to start using Jared Polson more. And we're like, okay, yeah, right. He never gets off the bench unless it's a huge lead. And sure enough, in the first half at South Carolina, look who checks in. It's number 5, the walk-on from Nicholasville. And the reason being, he is the only true point guard outside of Brandon Knight on the roster. So if you're going to spell Brandon at all, you're going to give Jared a shot, which spares having Deron Lamb having to play so many minutes. He's just desperately kind of trying to find a way to get a little more help off the bench to buy a few minutes here and there, which is what all Brandon did, or all Jared did, but that helped Brandon Knight a lot.
Darryl, here's how bad things are at the University of Louisville. After the loss to Providence, Howie says the buzz on campus is swimming.
I picked swimming because they swept the Cats, men and women. But it's going bad when you didn't get football, you didn't get basketball. We'll take wins wherever we can get them over the Cats this year. Certainly women's basketball at others and that kind of thing. But anytime you beat the Cats, I'm going to say it's the buzz.
Well, the Wildcats may get a chance to audition for American Idol this weekend. We'll talk about that when we come back. But as we head to the break, Darryl, please tell us how to get a subscription to the Cat's Paws.
And again, appreciate the opportunity. It's 800-641-3302. Cats Slam USC. That would be South Carolina, not the Trojans out in Southern California. Huge game for Terrence Jones, another coming out party. We'll see how long that lasts.